I'm Gab, he's Jules. Gray skies, ficking to rain, humid, horrible here over Berlin, but really nice here in the air-conditioned office here at Scaling Spaces, or so kindly hosting us throughout this tournament. This will be our final show from Scaling Spaces in Berlin. But Jules, we have our finalists.
We do.
It's Spain. It's England.
Yeah.
We will break this down later. We'll put on our Stuart Robson hats. But we have to start with the first semifinal, France against Spain. I'm just going to go out, and I want to begin here on Spain because I wrote about this. I made the point. These are not good players. When you go in, when you do a combined 11, a Spain-France combined 11, right? Yeah. Which I know they can be debatable, right? Rodri gets in, fine. Morata gets in. Of the players who actually started, right? Yeah. Morata gets in ahead of Colomwani, sorry.
Yeah.
After that, pre-tournament, you would have said Leny Yoro, Dembele, or whatever is touch and go, right?
Yeah, but not now.
Okay, not now.
Not even before. Even before the semi-final.
It's 8-3. There is not one other player that you would substitute from this France team to go into. And so I think when this happens, you have to give credit to the individuals. Dani Olmo, I thought, was sort of phenomenal goal. Leny Yoro, obviously stratospheric. But also overall the team. What Luis de la Fuente, who we've made fun of for the way he looks and his scarf and all this stuff, they outcoached Didier Deschamps. Not for the first time.
Yeah, completely. I think you're right. I mean, we were both there. We saw it, even if France started well, and France had a go in the second half.
And took the lead as well. At that point, you thought, okay, boom, France have the lead. Easy peasy. Clock things up, play in transition. Yeah. Spain are just going to keep passing it around. And then Leny Yoro had other ideas.
Yeah, but it changes on two incredible goals in the space of 5 minutes. Because Spain collectively, apart from controlling that second half or trying to control the second half, which they did okay, there was just nothing, not more collectively than what the French could offer. It's just those two moments of individual brilliance. But we've said all along, those games now, the final will be the same. Semi-final, even quarter-final to a certain extent, are won, most of them, by those moments of your special player does something a bit special or does something that you can't defend against. The Dani Olmo goal is just, and Lamine is great. It's a curler. We've seen the Arda Güler curler. You see curlers a lot. The Dani Olmo goal, for me, the first touch and the second touch especially, then maybe he gets a bit lucky. Those two touches as just something else. And really the French didn't have any kind of little magic like that in that game. Yeah, it's a good cross by Kylian and then the header by Colomwani. But what was missing on the French point of view, apart from the midfield that was just being humiliated by the Spanish midfield, was just we didn't have anybody who could step up and do something outside of the ordinary, like we saw Watkins do for England, like we saw Olmo and Lamine do for Spain.
I take your point, and we've often said this, right? When two teams are well coached, when they're out there, games are going to turn either on individual errors or refereeing errors or moments of genius. Yeah. France obviously had the players who can provide that, just even in the starting lineup. Dembele, I thought, was poor, but I also thought he's Dembele. He should start, and he finally did start him. Mbappe, I think, like a lot of his tournament, it just did not work out for him.
Never showed up, really, yeah. And the nose can be an excuse. The mask, he ditched the mask. He was allowed to. But overall, this should have been his tournament. He was the best player in the world going into this tournament. He was supposed to be the superstar. He was the face of it. And in the end, he never showed up.
We can blame the midfield, but I would also take issue with essentially the patterns of play. The fact that it felt to me that at 2-1 down, the vibe I got from Deschamps was something's going to happen, which is why, again, it felt as if he said, all right, I don't want to concede a 3-goal. Nico Williams is scary on the break. Yamal is obviously scary on the break. Morata can move too. I would have thought you would have taken the team center of gravity at that point, 2-1 down, and pushed it forward and said, we can do this. We can put you under pressure, regular movement, create regular chances. Because eventually, it's Nacho, it's Jesus Navas, it's Laporte back there, right? It's Cucurella. You can do this. It never came. It didn't come until the second half.
But the second half was better in that sense. But Kylian had that chance in the 86th minute. I think this is the moment that they were all waiting for. that Deschamps didn't change too much for that reason, because as you said, he thought at some point we will have that one chance and Kylian is going to score it. And Kylian blasted the ball over the bar in a move that we've seen him score 1,000 times in his life.
And Theo Hernandez, the ball fell.
Yeah,
it was
but
wrong
Kylian is easier than Theo.
No. But on Theo's other foot, that's a goal.
True.
All right, Jules. I know you've got things to say about Deschamps.
Yeah.
But I think we don't want to get into this thing of negativity, because I think, again, Spain deserve a ton of praise. We've praised Yamal. For me, it's the maturity and the decision making as much as the skill, right? You can have, like, he's a 16-year-old in a man's body. He's strong, and we've seen 16-year-olds who can try difficult things or are willing to do it. But the way he does it at the right time, there's an efficiency to it. And I'm thinking not so much, obviously the goal was phenomenal, but he tried another one. He hit this running curler in the second half.
Over the bar.
And I thought, this is exactly the right decision. How often do we see skilled players who maybe are overconfident at a young age and they give the ball away in the wrong positions? I just feel like there's like a computer in that guy's brain.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I mean, some people seem surprised. And unless you've lived on another planet for the last 18 months, there's nothing that he does in this tournament that is surprising, I think. Maybe you can say we were not sure if he could step up at this level because this is the best of what you have in Europe, right? But he's been so good still in a poor Barcelona team for most of the season that really what he's doing there, I'm more surprised maybe by Nico Williams' level than by Lamin's level, really. And I just think that if you think about it, Messi at that age never had this kind of impact in a major tournament. Pelé never had an impact. Diego never had that.
I think
Kylian never had that.
Rooney is the parallel here.
But he was not 16 either in a major tournament. 16 for Everton against Arsenal.
Euro 2004? Was he just turned 17?
Well, yeah, he was going towards 18. See, I think this is the youngest that anybody has had this kind of impact. He turned 17 on Saturday, I mean.
Right.
The day before the final. He played with Jesus Navas, who's older than his own dad. The guy playing in that game behind him is older than his own dad. It's just, the whole thing is just, and I just think this is a talent that, maybe because Barcelona haven't been that good in the season that just finished, that maybe people didn't realize how special he was. But it's just crazy.
I want to go back and hit one of my favorite points. Apologies for repeating myself. But as you know, I sometimes have a reputation for being a little bit of a contrarian.
Yeah.
And one of these things that come out is when people use terms like world class, and people use terms like pedigree and experience and knowing how to win and the winning mentality, which is this nonsense which Antonio Conte keeps pulling out. But it's not just him, right? And after the fact, teams with better, higher paid players, right, they win, and it's like, oh, the culture of winning. Let's just remind ourselves, and I'm going to go through the Spain team, who these people are, okay? Unai Simon is a guy who plays for a non-Champions League team, did not have a great season. Okay keeper. Yeah?
Best goalkeeper of La Liga, I think, this season.
Well, because Thibaut Courtois is injured.
I know,
but I mean,
yeah.
Also, he might have won the.
No.
He might have won it, but he's not. Right? He's really not. Like he is really not.
Yeah.
He is really not. For your team, if Donnarumma gets kidnapped by aliens tomorrow, and they can say, "Oh, Jules, you can pick any goalkeeper in La Liga to replace him." Right? For one season. You are not picking Unai Simon. No. Tell me you're not. You're going to pick Oblak. You're going to pick your. So let's please not this best goalkeeper in my foot.
To you.
Okay?
It's just a fact.
We're not starting arguing over
It's a fact.
Jesus Navas, 38 years old, filling in.
It's Carvajal.
No, but it was Jesus Navas in this game.
Yeah, but
he got stood up by Mbappe in the first one, which hurt me because I thought, man, you built your whole career on pace, right? Jesus Navas, that's kind of most of what he had. And now all of a sudden at 38, you're scared of Kylian's pace, which is fair enough because you're 38 years old. And so he leaves the space and Kylian delivers the perfect cross for Kolo Muani. The center backs, Nacho. Let's remind ourselves, 12 months ago, Nacho was the fourth center back at Real Madrid. He's 34, I think. He's going, where is he playing next year? El Garrafa, right? So this is the guy, he's won everything. I don't want to say he's a passenger because that would be unkind. But he's won everything. Most of what he's won in his career, he's the backup to the backup of the backup, right? Aymeric Laporte, his career nosedived in the last couple seasons at Manchester City. He went to Saudi. I have no idea what he did there. He's still Aymeric Laporte.
Sweet revenge for him, though, by the way, because obviously Deschamps kind of blacklisted him, and that's why he changed countries.
I think he really enjoyed it.
It must have been really sweet for Laporte to win that game against Deschamps.
Cucurella did better in the last couple months at Chelsea, I will admit that. But for the previous 18 months, he was a punchline to every joke. And actually, even in this game, he kind of reverted to form, because there's one Spanish player who I think didn't play as well as he did earlier in this game. It was obviously Cucurella.
Yeah.
Rodri,
your point stops here. We agree, right?
What?
Your point stops now.
No, my point continues.
It doesn't.
I want to remind people who these people are. Rodri's won everything. He is either the best in the world in his position or close to it. Nothing to say about him. Fabian Ruiz, this is a guy, right? A lot of hype at Betis. Goes to Napoli, looks good for a while, looks good for 2-3 years. Oh, look, he's tall and he's skillful. What an unusual combination. Doesn't really work out for him towards the end. Goes to Paris Saint-Germain, has a difficult first season, has injuries. Played half a year this year? Really hasn't won anything this year.
He started in the Champions League semi-final.
No, it's fine. But yeah, this year, yeah?
Yeah, but why are you basing your points on the form and the season of the player?
I'm basing myself on the fact that this is a guy in mid-career who does not have this fancy pedigree, who does not have this.
He's been top for the last 6 months. He's been really good level for the last 6 months.
That's fine. But he got back to that level. He's a guy that people did not believe in when he was younger. This is my point I'm making about these. These are comeback kids. I'm not saying they're bad players.
No, but it's still a good. He's a really good player.
Dani Olmo. You want to go there? Dani Olmo, who leaves La Masia to go to Croatia, who's been injured more than half the time since joining Leipzig, right? This is what these people have had to overcome.
I know, but the talent is there. They've always had talent. Whether they've been injured, whether their progression has been slow, whether they had
this is the point I'm making.
No, I know.
None of these people are.
I just don't understand your point. What's your point?
My point is this whole idea of experience, of having won things, of being a superstar, of having pedigree, winning mentality. It's all nonsense.
But some in that team have won loads of things. Nacho, even as the backup of the backup of the backup, has been in dressing rooms that have won. Carvajal the same.
Okay, Carvajal wasn't there for this game.
He was there. But he didn't play, but he was there. He's been there through the whole tournament. Rodri has won stuff.
Of course, Rodri. We said Rodri is his own case.
But like
Yamal's had 18 months.
But La Man won La Liga. Nico Williams won Copa del Rey. Did you see what I mean?
Copa del Rey. Wow, for Athletic Bilbao. Nico
Williams doesn't play for Man City.
But that is my point. No, I'm juxtaposing this with England, where most of these people have won important things, have been up there.
What have Bukayo Saka won?
What?
What have Declan Rice won? What have Bukayo Saka won?
Well, Declan Rice played for West Ham, who won the World Cup.
No, but you see what I mean? I just think that they've created a team, which is De La Fuente's.
They've created a team with people who, most of whom, at one point or another, people stopped believing in. That is my point. And I think it's pretty obvious. And I think it's hard to dispute this.
But
people stop believing in most of these players, or they never believed in some of them.
But De La Fuente believes in them. So I don't know. Like De La Fuente.
That is the point here.
This is not his B squad. This is the A squad. So.
But it's an A squad that's made up of people who went off the path, who were not on the conveyor. In fact, the guy who had everything. The guy. Remember, if you read, obviously, Moneyball, and then Billy Bean, and they make the example of Billy Bean, how he was the 5-tool guy. He was the guy who had everything to succeed, according to the scouts and the eye test, and Billy Bean was never the player he should have been.
Yeah.
Billy Bean is Alvaro Morata. Morata is the guy who, at age 18, people said, he has everything. He's strong, he's fast, he's intelligent, he's very skillful, he's handsome as well.
Yeah.
Morata is the perfect embodiment then of the guy who should have had that, who should have had the pedigree, because he was at Real Madrid. And then his career went this way and that. I thought he always performed to a high level, but I think it's fair to say nobody would say, oh, Morata achieved what we expected him to achieve when he was 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
So he is the one guy who actually had that, and then it didn't work out for him. That's what I find incredible about this team. The fact that he took these people and said, I don't care about your pedigree, I don't care about your winning mentality, I don't care about your CV. We can mold this into a team that works. And he also got away from the Lucho experience, because this team, whatever people say, there is much more verticality to this team
for sure.
than there was to
It's a different
to decide
style,
under
completely,
Lucho, right?
Completely. I just think this is his best. I
No,
can't
I'm
see
not saying
another
it's not his
player.
best 11, Jules.
No, but in that sense, I understand all your point about some of those players, where they're coming from.
I
and the career that
love
they
I love the
had.
human story of this player.
No, which is true. I just think that
These aren't Chouameni's who've been on a basically continuous upward trajectory in their career, right? That is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, maybe, but I think the way they complement each other is just finally really amazing. And they had 2 shots on target against France. France had more shots on target. France had more chances, and they won because they can control games. They can attack well. They can defend well. They ride their luck a little bit, but like everybody. And again, you go find the tournament by having a bit of luck, like Iker Casillas told us the other day when we interviewed him with producer Freddie. And they just have everything, and I think it's really rare to have everything in a tournament like this. And they are the first team ever to win the first 6 games at Euros. Nobody had ever done it, so they really have something very special.
Let me ask you this: Spain have probably 2 starters who aren't here, who I think would be definite starters, and that's Balde and Gavi, unless I'm forgetting somebody.
Oh, Pedri. Yeah, Pedri.
Well, but
yeah,
Pedri's been in the
there,
tournament, right? He's injured. He wasn't
yeah.
there for this game, obviously. Had they been fit, Gavi would have probably played on the wing, right? I assume. Or
I'm
maybe
not sure
Gavi would have
about
played
that.
for Fabian Ruiz. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
maybe.
Balde would have played for Cucurella. Okay, Balde Cucurella, upgrade. I don't think there's an argument there.
Yeah.
Gavi a better player than Fabian Ruiz, probably a better player than Nico Williams too.
Different
But
profiles. I don't think De La Fuente would change anything from the 2 wingers that he has to bring another profile as a winger.
So if Gavi had been fit, do you think he would have found a spot for him in the team?
Yeah. I'm not sure about that. I think in Fabian, whether we like him or not, whether we think he's a bit clunky, I don't know, whatever. He complements Rodri and whoever is the third midfielder, Gavi, Pedri, or Dani Olmo, so well that I think this team cannot do without Fabian Ruiz from the start. Then after an hour, Mikel Merino.
No, but all I'm saying is, had Gavi been fit for this tournament, Spain might have played a different way.
Maybe, but I don't think you can play Gavi and Pedri in this team together. I don't think it would work.
It would be a
with
different
Lamine
team.
and Nico, yeah.
All right, moving on to France. I've been critical of Deschamps for. When was he appointed? 2016?
2012.
2012. There you go. We have a long history going back together.
Long history, 12 years. It's a long time.
And my basic point is, as you know, I don't want to repeat myself, is basically that if you have these attacking tools, you have to use them. You can't just play in transition all the time. And when you're the stronger team, you don't do that. And Spain and France are the stronger team, have been certainly against most of the opponents that they faced for most of his tenure. And I think we saw that again. You can't just switch it on and play a different way. Even though first 15 minutes they tried. But I'll leave the floor to you.
No, it's not that. It's just he's been repeating to us through this whole tournament that we can't argue with his tactics, albeit as defensive as they are, because he's winning football matches. Now he's lost. So now we can look into it and say, okay, your substitutions and in-game management against Spain was horrendous. Everything that he did, from taking too long to make the first substitutions after an hour, when we clearly all have seen that midfield which could not cope with Rodri, Fabian and Dani Olmo, didn't do anything. Even some of the starters, like you mentioned Rabiot already, are very questionable. I think his whole idea that plan A and plan B and plan C and plan of every other letters in the alphabet was all about Kylian was wrong. And certainly maybe not wrong at the start of the tournament, but once you could see that he was just not in it, then change something, do something different, try something different. Instead, he kept building everything around Kylian, and that backfired because that never worked. And then I even think that the use of the Serbs was poor, which created a lot of frustration within the camp. And just overall, I just don't think that he's been good enough. And for me, maybe the most damning thing about that game against Spain is that during that first half, we could hear him shouting at Rabiot, Kanté and Tchouaméni, "It's 3v3 in midfield. Just sort this out. We can't be overplayed like that." When for all of us in the stadium and maybe even people on television, you could clearly see that because Nico Williams or Lamine Yamal were coming inside, it was never a 3v3 in midfield. It was very obvious that that the French were outnumbered by Spain because one of the 2 wingers were coming inside. So suddenly you were 4v3 in midfield.
So this is another logical thing. You know that going into the game they have a good Spain have a really, really good midfield, and that the wingers will come inside, especially Nico maybe a little less so. Wouldn't this the obvious thing have been in the previous game? He played the diamond with Griezmann. Griezmann did not have a good game, but you have other midfielders. Could this have been a game where maybe, even though I want to see Dembele, maybe Dembele's an impact sub and you go with a diamond or a two? Is this something?
No, because I think he needed the wingers because Cucurella and Jesus Navas are Cucurella and Jesus Navas. So you have to target them. So this which is fine with me. But the midfield issue of those 3v4 or being outnumbered, you can sort it out with still playing 4-3-3 football. It's not a problem. But he just never had that. And the worst maybe is that he didn't even see it. When we could all see it, he could not see it. And I think maybe he's lost a bit of that touch that made him special. And again, it's 4 semi-finals in 5 tournaments. You just can't argue with the result. Nobody has ever done this. This is unprecedented. 4 in 5 is just crazy. So no problem with that. But there's a point where he mattered the most that it just didn't click for him, because as you said, you can work on your defensive structure and shape all the time. When you have to go forward, this is the first time in the tournament they were behind. Never before they'd been behind. And then when they were behind and they had to find that flow to go forward and to attack, even if they tried, it was just not there because they hadn't worked on it enough. Even if Kylian had that chance at the end that we saw him score so many times, one-on-one with Vivian, he goes on the outside. Everybody knows exactly what's going to happen, and then that ball goes over the bar. And this is it. This is the moment, and he didn't take it.
It's the age-old analogy, right, in football, the chef or the ingredients, and he's had the best ingredients, and maybe that's why France's meals were so good for the last 10 years or so. All right, enough Spain and France. Let's move on to the other semi-final. England against Holland. England are through. It's yet another European final.
Yeah.
We will break it down and ask whether, after 60 years of hurt, things are going to change. Sorry, 58 years of hurt, is it?
Yeah.
But Jules, can I just say, we've been critical of Southgate. Everybody's been critical of the way England played. That first half was pretty good.
I thought the best of the tournament. I thought.
It's pretty low bar, but still.
Yeah, low bar. And the Dutch scoring so early, which is the worst thing that can happen to them, because then I think even without thinking it, you have a game plan at the start, but there's nothing in your game plan for any team, not just the Netherlands yesterday. But there's no game plan that says you're going to score after 5 minutes. This is not, you have a game plan. And I guess when you score so early in a game like this, even subconsciously, you kind of drop a bit deeper and let the ball to the opposition and just see what you do and try to control, which I think invited the pressure. And I thought the Dutch were quite disappointing overall anyway, even in the second half.
To be fair to Koeman, and I will be fair to Koeman.
The Dutch guy.
Holland aren't good.
No.
And so if I have the lead and I've got the fast strikers and, Depay, the one-on-ones, and, Mane can run, right?
Yeah, Gakpo as well.
Maybe it's not such a bad idea if I go and pack things at the back.
True, except that they never ran, right, in that first half.
No, they were never able to play transition.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought England in that first half were great, and they get a bit lucky with the penalty. Let's be honest here.
All right, let's talk about the penalty incident.
Yeah.
Do you understand why it was a penalty?
Yeah. I just think it's a very generous penalty, but yeah.
So VAR should not have intervened.
Yeah, I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. But
I think again, it's one of those situations where VAR intervened because the referee didn't see the dynamic, which is understandable.
Yeah, from where
because it was very quick.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball is in play after Kane hits a shot, and that is a foul from Dumfries.
I just don't know what Dumfries is supposed to do. He goes to block the ball. It's Kane's shot and movement with his leg that go into Dumfries. It's not Dumfries' leg that goes towards Kane. It's Kane's leg that goes towards Dumfries' foot. I don't know. So then Dumfries in that case doesn't try to block the ball, doesn't do anything, and just like
he does try to block the ball.
Yeah, but that created a penalty. So what should he have done? Nothing. Just let Kane take that shot.
Jules, if you're passing the ball in midfield and I slide in and I get there after the ball has left, it's still a foul.
But it's Kane's foot that goes into Dumfries' foot.
Yes,
not
because
the
he has to have
around.
a natural follow through, right?
Yeah, but so that's what I mean. So what is Dumfries supposed to do? So Dumfries doesn't go to try
challenge
to block
at
the
a
ball.
different angle.
Maybe.
I
I just thought it was a bit harsh on Dumfries. But
Some people raised the issue too that there was Bukayo Saka, the ball hitting his hand beforehand, and
I didn't even see that.
all right, it was an issue that was raised by some very clever
Okay.
people. It's clearly not a deliberate handball, and it wasn't. He didn't score with it. It didn't immediately lead to the shot, so this is why I think correctly it wasn't ruled off for that.
Okay.
But the penalty, I agree with you. It was a bit
Yeah, a little
fortunate, a little bit out of the blue.
But you know what I didn't understand then? Is that I thought, okay, in the second half now, England are just going to go again and put even more intensity and more pressure.
You don't understand. You've seen
And then
Southgate
what
for
do
all
they
these
do?
years.
They just say, oh, that was too good this first half. This isn't like us. Let's go back to what we do before, which is garbage.
I thought he was going to send on Conor Gallagher at that point
Yeah,
to
true.
play for penalties. Yeah, I don't understand what happened in the second half because they're there for the taking. And again, I'm going to make this all Southgate, because it is on the players, right? And there are some players, I think, who had really poor games, who really let him down. Jude Bellingham, I think, is the obvious one. Whose shirt you're wearing today, by the way?
Yeah, who else?
Coincidentally, yeah. Well, who else? You know, you're going to do that. You're going to play Charlie big time. You know, you have to deliver regularly, and this is one game where he didn't. He usually does. England really playing with fire in the second half, and this is on Southgate. And look, we can say, oh, but he was brilliant with his substitution. Sure, showed a lot of personality taking off Kane, who I think also had a knock and whatever, right?
A bit late, yeah.
And then Watkins resolves it out of the blue.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Watkins, who I think has not played enough in this tournament, I think he's been underused massively.
Did a couple minutes against
by
Denmark,
Southgate.
and that's it.
But that run that he makes in that half space on the right, that kind of diagonal, the ball from Palmer, Kane would not have made that run. Kane doesn't make those runs anymore, I think. And I think this is what England have been missing at times, and this is what Watkins can provide you. And amazing finish, although De Vrij should have done much better. I don't want to see De Vrij anymore at international level.
All right, Jules. We've been a little hard on Koeman.
Have we?
But I also feel, just overall in the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, Van Dijk is a bit older now. I don't think De Vrij's been bad throughout the tournament, but there are other options on the bench that might have been more apropos here. You know, De Ligt, all of a sudden, it's like he's become some weirdo pariah. Gertrude that we saw him and we didn't see him.
Van de Ven, who's done well whenever he come on.
Van de Ven, the obvious
but
one.
even playing Ake at left back, kind of, I know it's a bit of a hybrid position, but still, it's just like, why not Van Dijk and Ake together in, you know De Vrij and then anyway, there's a lot of things I don't know about the Dutch guy. I don't understand about the Dutch guy.
You don't understand him, but he could point out and he could say, yes, Jules, you didn't mention that Dumfries he hit the woodwork.
This is the best accent you do.
No, but
the Dutch one.
It's a game of millimeters. It's a game of inches, right?
Yeah.
They're playing England, who are substantially better. Again, because Holland don't have De Jong, they don't have Koopmeiners, all of these guys. And they still go to the point where they hit the woodwork. I mean, I think Foden's shot, I don't know if it hit the woodwork. By the way, that Foden
brushes one, and then the one that Dumfries saves on the line.
Yeah.
1-1.
By the way, how special was that little move?
Yeah, and it's a shame that he's still a bit behind him, because otherwise I think he could have buried it before. But yeah, and great from Dumfries to cover that well.
Okay, so England had the better chances overall, I think.
In the first half, certainly, because in the
over
second
the course
half,
of the game,
they disappeared.
Yeah, no, they disappeared, but it's not like Holland did that much, right?
No, I think the XG is higher.
But do you have mitigate? I mean, what does it say? Is it just the randomness of the tournament that, with Holland playing this badly, with Holland having two important players out, with Koeman making silly decisions, with certain players, Donny Malen, obvious example, not having good tournaments, they still come so close to the final?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to start with is the
randomness.
Yeah, the luck of the draw to start with, because they finished third in their group and then they still end up in the half of the draw that is by far the easiest, and they play Romania and Turkey. Turkey have been great to watch. We've said we've been at some of their games. Amazing fans. Arda Güler, Montella, everything you want. It's still Turkey. You know, on the other side of the draw, Holland, I don't think would have gone through after the last 16. Had they had to play a France or Portugal or Germany or even Belgium earlier, I think they would have been out. So but good for them. This is not something that you can control where you finish and who you face. You can only beat what's in front of you. That's why they go so far. And we can say again about England, by the way, that's again like in 2018 and 2021, they find themselves in the right side of the draw. So, which is good, again, which is good.
This tees up our look at the final, I think, where we turn into Robbo with hair.
Mm-hmm.
Spain, a much, much tougher run to the
Yeah,
final. Just even in terms of pedigree, and leaving aside obviously teams that went out, we can now say, oh, Croatia were bad, Italy were bad. Yeah, okay, but they still played them, right?
Yeah.
Croatia, Italy, Germany, France, that's pretty blue ribbon.
Yeah.
England, toughest opponent they've had?
Switzerland, I guess.
Switzerland.
But England have been favourite in every single game that they've played, right? Until now. Now they will be the outsiders. There's nobody can say to me, oh, they are favourite.
You think they're the underdogs?
Sure. Spain have won their 6 games. They're the best team in this tournament. They play the best football. They have.
I would.
players that
Okay,
can win
so
games.
this is why I think both of us are picking England to win. I take your point, but I look at matchups.
Mm-hmm.
I look at matchups in this game, and I also look at the fact who is close to their ceiling of performance. England are far below their ceiling of performance, and England.
But like
for
you
me,
said, you don't turn it on though. You can't just turn on
no,
the switch.
but what we've seen and what has kept England alive in this tournament, you can't turn it on collectively as a team. Southgate hasn't shown that ability because ultimately it's Gareth Southgate. But we've seen individuals create out of nothing, right? We saw it with Saka. We saw it with Bellingham. They have more people who can do that than Spain, right?
Yeah.
We agree on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Spain, you might say Dani Olmo. You obviously say Yamal. And then, Nico Morata already, that's a bit.
But they can.
That's a bit sketchy.
Yeah. But Rodri can do from, a shot on.
He does the thing where he passes the ball in the back of the net. Harder to do against England when they have 8 people standing in a line in front of Pickford's goal.
I agree with that.
But England have many, many more. And you have many, many more solutions.
Yeah.
And people can create out of nothing.
Yeah.
So for that reason, the formula, the Southgate formula, if you will, which might have been the Deschamps formula back in the day. But, well, actually, it is because he said, he said Deschamps, he models himself on that.
Yeah.
Back 3, keep it tight.
Yeah.
And then wait for something to happen.
Yeah.
And if it goes to penalties, then we win. Maybe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right. It could be as simple as that. To be fair, they've always found a way in this tournament. Always. And I just think they will find a way. And I can't give you much more than that in my preview. There's nothing scientific or tactical I'm just saying they find a way and they will find a way again. I just don't understand this team. They have a bad coach. They're not well coached. They are great individual players, but at some point,
in some roles, not up and down across the board.
Yeah. And I don't know. I find them amazing. The character that they have. They scored 80th minute against Switzerland to draw and then wait for pens and win the pen. They scored 94th against Slovakia to go into extra time and then score early in extra time. Yesterday, they scored in the 92nd minute to win a game where in the second half, they look like Stoke City. It's just like, I just don't understand. There's something about this team that I find fascinating because I just don't know. Like, I don't know how they win, but they find a way of winning. And I think they're going to win the final like that. We're going to meet together. We are going to the final together. We're going to see each other after and say like, how did they do that? How did that happen? How did they beat that team? It would be exactly the same.
Either that or we'll just blame Southgate again.
One
or the other. I also find incredible that for all the talk of planning and this and that, I thought England's best player, by some distance, if you take aside Watkins, obviously was only on for a few minutes, was a guy who didn't even play regularly until, January? Kobbie Mainoo?
Yeah.
What does it say that, look, he's very, very good, and same way Yamal's very, very good, but I also don't want to overhype him like he's kind of Brian Robson here. He walks into the team, a team that Southgate's been building for a long time, and he's the best player. Yeah,
and I think, but it shows you again how bad Southgate is because he didn't see it. He was almost forced to do it. This is someone, Southgate, who preferred Trent Alexander-Arnold first for 2 games in a row, Conor Gallagher for the 3rd game before thinking, you know what, that Kobe kid that I've seen at training for the last 4 weeks look decent. Maybe I should try to give him a go. Come on. Kobe Mainoo should have started this tournament all day long. We all knew it. We all knew it, Gab. We've all seen it. For Southgate to not start him before the 4th game showed you how incompetent. But it doesn't matter. Now he started him. Same with the back three. Should have done that earlier. It's okay. It's all good now. And I guess we'll see, because they need Kobe Mainoo at this kind of level if they want to win this final. Against, like we said, Fabian and Rodri have been the best centre midfield partnership in the tournament. So it's a hell of a test for Rice and Kobe to face Fabian and Rodri, two young players from England who are not have the experience and and just their age compared to Fabian Ruiz and Rodri.
So we've talked about the midfield. We emphasize how important the midfield battle was against France. What I wonder a little bit is if you play a back three, and you said that it was logical to play the back three. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. While Shaw was injured and still not 100%. But if you play a back three with Saka and Shaw, I mean, or possibly Trippier, but whatever, is there a risk then that you actually make yourself even weaker in midfield and you end up just retreating so deep that everything is played is in front of you? If you see what I'm saying, right?
It is one of the three centre back to come inside on Dani Olmo, to step up on Dani Olmo, absolutely.
So you really think that's going to happen?
There's no. I want to think like if we know it, surely the England staff knows it as well. And to be fair, we say back three. Kyle Walker yesterday played a lot really wide right, almost like so this may be a back three hybrid back four, and Saka was never really the wing back.
It looked kind of sophisticated what he was doing there.
But I think this is the easiest adjustment to do.
I was only watching on television, so I wasn't there in person, so obviously you get a different view.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is actually, he's doing something interesting and sophisticated. Or Kyle Walker's just running around randomly where he wants, and Saka, who's more intelligent, has to adjust to where Walker's going.
I think it was an easy adjustment that they could do, to be fair. But I think if they keep the back three, which I think they will, it's really important, like you said, to have, otherwise Dani Olmo is going to have so much space, because obviously Mainoo and Rice will be on Rodri and Fabian, and then Dani Olmo, as we saw against France, especially if Nico or Lamine come inside, this could create a bit of chaos in the England midfield. So one of those three centre-backs, whether it's Stones or Walker or Guéhi.
So the more I think about this, I would say the matchups don't favour England. But then I look at the other end of the pitch, and I think to myself, with that back four, does Lenormand come back in?
I don't know if he'll be fit. So Carvalho's coming in for sure. And for Lenormand, Nacho, or
Nacho Laporte is not the greatest.
No. But then it's Kane who's not fit, clearly, who's not going to run down the channels like we saw Watkins do.
But the question is Foden and Bellingham? No, you don't drop Kane. He's your captain. No,
even a bad Kane. Kane has been bad in this tournament. I know he scored 3 goals. I could have scored the 3 goals he scored. The header, the tap-in, and the penalty. This is what he did.
Okay, you wouldn't have scored the header, right?
You would have scored the header as big as you are.
But you wouldn't have had the header.
I would have.
You would have had the tap-in and the penalty.
The tap-in for sure, the penalty. Although Verbruggen went the right way, and it's just a perfect penalty. But I think I would have. But you would keep Kane.
I just think in these situations there's no way you can drop them. There's too much importance. There's too much attached to this game. Somebody said that when Kane came off, it was kind of like Lineker against Sweden vibes. Yeah. I think that's a bit OTT. But having come this far, I think there's no way he drops Kane. So our prediction is we're both leaning England here. Yes, somehow. They've been here somehow, so they will win somehow. I think it would be what an end. Then Southgate can walk away into the sunset, showing that nice guys do not always finish last. All right, enough Euros. How about some quick hits instead? Let's go, Gab. Goals from Julian Alvarez. And apparently, after a long review, it took me a long time to figure this out, Lionel Messi gave Argentina a 2-0 win over Canada. Jules, your thoughts? I was not impressed. I won't lie. Not good. Not good. But they haven't been good in this tournament. We've said that. We've said that before. Some love for Uncle Jesse? Yeah, no. And I think Canada,
I've really liked what I've seen from Canada. And again, this is maybe a bit too early in the Jesse Marsh tenure for some of the squad, some of the players. I expect them to be really good in 2 years' time for their own World Cup. But this is a great experience. This is a great learning curve. And for Argentina, you win those games with the kind of like know-how that you have, really. You don't really panic. And you find a way to win them without being brilliant. And that's all they care about. In another final, it will be Angel Di Maria last game for Argentina. It might even be Messi's last game for Argentina too.
Stop saying that. Stop saying
so let's see, and good luck to them. Colombia play most of the second half with 10 men, but still be Uruguay with a goal by Jefferson Lerma. And yet another assist from James Rodriguez. Gab, this was hard fought.
So first of all, James Rodriguez, 6 assists in this tournament. It is absolutely. You want a throwback.
On
you want to
set
see
pieces. It's just that quality in set pieces.
You want to see what football used to look like? Just watch James Rodriguez. He's like a visitor. He's like a time traveler. Yeah, I thought this was really disappointing from Uruguay. Bielsa giving it the big one before that, blah blah blah, and then Colombia, who arguably have played the best football in this tournament.
In 28, beaten in 28 games. Colombia.
Yeah, I thought they were stupid. Red card from Munoz on Ugarte. Again, guys, there's VAR. If you go and you elbow the guy in the stomach, even if it's a little wussy elbow, you know that you're going to get sent off.
So
why do it?
He has been so good in this Copa America. It's just so strange.
I don't know. He's following the Tim Weah book of football. But then even against 10 men, Uruguay struggled. All you saw, Suarez came on, hit the post, but that wasn't enough. So disappointing from Uruguay, well-deserved from Colombia. I'm really psyched for this final. So this sets up an Argentina-Colombia final and a clash between two Argentines, Lionel Scaloni and Nestor Lorenzo. Jules, how do we see this going?
I think it's going to be great. This is the best team that Argentina would face in this tournament. The team that plays the best football, as you said. The team that has so much confidence, unbeaten in 28. We've said that already. With match winners, from James to Luis Diaz, for example. I think Munoz not being there is a problem. But you can't say that. You can't count out Argentina because they have Messi and because they have that kind of experience.
And Demi Martinez.
And they've been incredible. Extra time is back for the final, which is something good to know, because as much as we hate going straight from 90 minutes to penalties, at least they have another half an hour. But yeah, it should be great.
We will probably be watching that game on delay on the plane flying back to London.
That's right. And Gab, back to that Colombia-Uruguay game. There were ugly scenes right at the end. Clashes in the stands between Uruguay players, Colombia fans. What happened?
So, yeah, this is some pretty wild stuff. You can see, essentially, Darwin Nunez wading into the crowd, getting
Araujo as well,
getting punched in the face by somebody. So, this tournament's been dogged by massive disorganization, and it's been an issue. And CONMEBOL, who are the South American Confederation, they're the organizers of the tournament. I don't know if it's down to familiarity with the stadiums. It's been an issue. It's been an issue of pricing. It's been an issue with empty seats. In this case, they took the odd decision, I think, of seating the families of the Uruguayan players directly behind the Uruguayan bench, which meant that they're surrounded by random fans. Now, you know this.
That's the case in the Euros as well. The families are behind the benches of the two teams.
I don't think so. I don't think...
the French have always been behind the bench. And after the game, the French players come and can go into the stands. The stand is so close to where the bench is.
Okay, then maybe there's a different level of security.
Maybe, yeah.
Certainly for club games, they're not seated. The family members are not seated generally. Most stadiums behind the bench, they're seated elsewhere. The issue here is they're right there. They obviously there was enough security. As the story goes, and we're only just getting the details. They're getting insults, taunts from Colombia fans. They answer them. An argy-bargy breaks out.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I'm a Uruguayan player on the pitch
and
I see your family,
you go in.
I'm going to run out there. In the U.S., with all the security, all the doodads they have, the fact that they're really good at organizing events, I've never seen something like this happen, and it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're going to ask some serious questions, because people could have really gotten hurt.
Yeah.
French FA have confirmed that Didier Deschamps is staying at least through the 2026 World Cup. Jules, I know that the narrative is that when Deschamps goes, Zinedine Zidane will take over and all will be fine. But by that point, Zizou won't have worked for 5 years.
Surely he's going to take a job before that. I mean, I respect for him if he wants to wait, and he's really happy now in his life. He wants to go back into football, but I think he's also really enjoying what he's doing, which is he gets invited to all the best gigs in the world. Like everywhere he goes to, in Le Mans, he goes to Formula One, he goes to the tennis, he goes to the football, he goes everywhere. But I think he still wants to coach. So I would have liked him to take over Deschamps. I think 12 years, as we said earlier, is a long time for a national team head coach. Maybe too long. But if he wants that job, he'll have to wait another 2 years. That's how it is.
Roll on 2028, Zizou.
And meanwhile, Greg Berhalter, our friend, has been fired as coach of the US men's national team. I guess their review suggested that they think somebody else can do a better job.
I guess so. There was a strong backlash to the U.S. Obviously, people make such a big deal. Oh, first Copa America host to be eliminated in home soil. I think they did not play well, even in that Panama game. Look, I don't have an issue with holding people to account, and if you think you can go and get somebody better, Berhalter, I think, has got the third highest winning percentage of any. He's got the highest winning percentage of any U.S. coach in history. Right. And you can say that means nothing because you play in CONCACAF against the Muppet Show, except for Mexico, and this is a really bad Mexico team, whatever. Maybe. But I always think you should make these decisions based on whether you can upgrade, not based on whether the person deserves it, did a good job in those 3 games. You have to have I hope they made a decision based on that. And
would you have kept him after the Qatar World Cup then? Because they kept him there.
100%
you would think.
Well, when they reached the quarterfinals?
Last 16. But this was after the World Cup was the start of this new 2022 to 2026, and now they've cut that through halfway. So
I just look at the players.
Like, why giving him that job for another 4 years to go to the Euro World Cup if it's after 2 years? I know it was disappointing, this Copa America, but overall
it's one of those stupid decisions. I mean, look, the only way you can do it is you have to ask yourself, okay, Pulisic's supporting cast, right? This golden generation, which there's nothing golden about them except for Pulisic. Do I have faith that he can work with McKennie? McKennie can turn it around. Adams can turn it around. All these guys can. Reina, obviously the obvious one, right? And if the answer is no, then maybe you make a change. But I just don't see the basis of it.
I know.
Everybody wants Lille teenage sensation Leny Yoro, apparently. Jules, it seems like a head-to-head between Manchester United and Real Madrid.
It seems like that because Real Madrid, certainly Manchester United have agreed terms with Lille for the transfer, around 45 million euros. He's got only 1 year left on his contract. And the agreement was that he can leave now this summer, and Lille wants a bit of money back for him. He went through the academy. He has been incredible since making his debut at 16 even, playing regularly at 17. Incredible talent. Right now he prefers Real Madrid than United. He wants to play in the Champions League, for example, where obviously United are not. And I think there's quite a lot of confidence in Madrid that it will happen. They are talking with Lille. I can't see it being a problem.
I go back to this. Why not just sit around, wait a year, and go there as a free agent? And
no. He wants Lille to get some money in, and I think that's to his credit.
What a nice boy.
No, that's to his credit. Speaking of United, the Times reports that they've had another bid for Jaron Bradford rejected, £50 million this time, but they're preparing a third bid. Gabby, how high will they go, and should they go for him?
I think you can go higher. You can go to 55. You can maybe even go to 60. But then at some point, you got to draw a line under it. And certainly Everton's financial situation should come into play here, which is why I wouldn't go too much higher. Jules, there was much doom and gloom over the Ligue 1 TV rights and the impact it would have on clubs. Now it looks like some bids are in. Is there light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, maybe the zone. I've put a bid in. I mean, quite low. It's 375 million euros.
They were hoping for $1 billion, right?
Yeah, exactly. A long time ago. For the 8 best games of every weekend, I don't know. There's still a possibility that.
Sorry, the 8 best games out of 9.
Yeah.
So there's just one game.
And then
just
you
an
sell
absolute
the other one. Yeah. And then who's going to buy that one?
Exactly.
But we'll see. That's the possibility that Ligue 1 create their own channel as well, obviously. Manchester United's account revealed that it cost the club around £40 million in legal fees and other fees to sell Jim Ratcliffe his minority stake. Gab, you always have nice things to say about lawyers. That's a lot of money.
It is an enormous amount of money. Like, I know that the guy paid, what was it, 1.3 billion, 1.25 billion
for 27%
stake.
27.
and I know you got to write up contracts and everything, but I mean, seriously, 40
How can
million?
you justify all that money?
You know, and by the way, you know who pays this? It's not like Ratcliffe pays it.
No.
It's not like the Glazers pay it. This is money that goes into Manchester United's account. And they're laying a whole bunch of people off, as you know, to cut costs. To me, this makes little sense, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense about United. Bordeaux are in serious trouble after failing to secure a license to play in Ligue 2. Could Fenway Sports Group be riding into the rescue?
I mean, they've been relegated to the third division, as you said. Gerard Lopez.
But not on the pitch.
No, on the pitch. No, like by the French.
Because they don't have the requirements.
Yeah, French financial fair play. They need, I think, something like 40 million in their bank account or something like that. And they're looking actively for somebody who would either come in and put money in or just buy the club outright from Gerard Lopez, our friend. And they're hoping that maybe FSG could be that group. It doesn't sound too credible, to be honest, but why not? I mean, if FSG want to go into multi-club ownership and things like that, obviously they own Liverpool.
Which is not something that they've really shown much of an appetite for.
That's why I'm a bit skeptical about it. They have 12 days today, Bordeaux, to find that kind of money and an investor.
It's 14 million, you said.
40, I think it is 40 they need.
You need that much in bank guarantees?
Yeah. So Lopez last summer, to keep the club in the second division, put 60 of his own money. So he says. I don't know. This whole thing is such a massive club and it's such a sad situation for all their fans. Ciro Immobile is reportedly close to joining Besiktas. Gab, are you excited?
Ciro Immobile.
Why would be excited?
I am.
Why?
I'm so excited. He's one of the greatest ever scorers for Lazio.
You know what happens when he goes abroad, yeah? He's been abroad before. He's been to other leagues before, and what happened?
He hasn't been to Turkey. He's been to Borussia Dortmund, and he's been to Sevilla.
And what happens?
Hasn't worked out.
Oh, okay.
Well, are you saying he's like the doctor in that crappy Star Trek spin-off, the one who can only exist as a hologram? There was a Star Trek Discovery or something where he's like the hologram in the one with the female captain.
No, I was just letting people know.
No, he'll be good. He'll be good. The Turkish league is going to be good. Come on, Galatasaray, Besiktas, and Jose Mourinho. Come on.
Fenerbahce,
Mason Greenwood's future remains in doubt. It looked like he was heading to Marseille. But now it appears Lazio are back in the mix, Jules. They can take all that money they were paying Immobile and pay Greenwood instead.
Yeah, true. We had an agreement between United and Marseille over £25 million, something like that, for Greenwood.
Plus 50% of the resale, I think.
Yeah. Roberto Zerbi, the new Marseille manager, saying like he's world class. I don't know what happened in his private life. This is not my problem, my business.
Why does he say? Why does? I love Roberto De Zerbi, but he has serious communication problems. We called him out last year for saying those stupid things at Brighton, which soured things.
Yeah.
What, are you tone deaf? I think. Oh, I don't know about what happened in the private life. I was like his son.
He said,
you do know what happened.
Yeah,
you do know what happened. We all know what happened. It's all documented.
I'll tell you who knows what happened. Is the mayor of Marseille, Benoît Payan, who had some really strong words about Mason Greenwood and said, I don't want him in this club. I don't want him in Marseille. You know, he hit his wife. Some of the things he went all in on like, I'm going to ask Marseille not to sign him, not to recruit him. I don't know if that could have an impact or not. But there's clearly a lot of people in France and in Marseille who think that he should not come to Marseille.
Yeah, look, I've said this before, but I think it's worth sort of repeating here. What makes this case different is that the charges were ultimately dropped.
Yeah.
But we never had closure, right?
Yeah.
We never had an admission that something happened, but also we didn't have a trial which said nothing happened, no crime has been committed. So this is going to forever leave Greenwood in this limbo. And look, part of me is a tiny part of sympathy because he can't come out and admit what happened because he could then face charges again.
Yeah.
So, but it's all out there.
Yeah.
And the reality is there will be some clubs, many clubs, whose fan base aren't going to be comfortable with this. And true. I think that has to be respected as well. And funnily enough, as I mentioned, Lazio saying like, oh, look, well, if you can't go to Marseille, come here. So, of course, because Claudio Lotito's cut from a different cloth.
Amanda Stavely and Medad Goudussi are selling their remaining stake in Newcastle. Gab, what impact will this have?
Zero. I mean, So Amanda Stavely got so much attention. It seemed as if she had bought the club and was running the club and everything. But the reality is, unlike the Rubin brothers, who I think have a 10% stake, and obviously unlike the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, Amanda Stavely and Midad Guddusi are not billionaires. They do not have the kind of liquidity that the other owners have.
They're not billionaires.
It's rich is a relative term. No, so what happened is they were already diluted when, before when everybody put more equity in, and they were going to be diluted again. They're selling 6%. I don't know. Who would want to buy 6% in Newcastle?
Maybe you start with 6 and then you can increase it later.
You're gonna get the money off the Public Investment Fund?
No, I
drive
don't know,
them out.
Maybe.
No, I think most likely they're going to sell their stake to the Public Investment Fund and to the Rubin brothers if they're interested, and go back. That's the most logical thing. I don't think a big investor is going to come in to own 6% in something that he can't control.
Yes, maybe you're right. It's not enough.
Another twist in the Al Ittihad tale, Jules, after Stefano Pioli and our pal Christophe Galtier. Now it seems as if Laurent Blanc is the chosen one.
A
lot of careful and methodical planning going on here, I see.
Absolutely. I mean, he'd been in Qatar before, obviously, before coming back to France and get the Lyon job. We know how that went.
Similar part of the world.
Yeah, terribly. At Lyon, he was sacked a year in the job over 2 seasons.
By John Textor, who we haven't mentioned yet in the show.
Here you go, JT. This one is for you. Good luck to him at Al Ittihad. And Karim Benzema, who obviously he had with him when he was the France head coach all those years, 2010 to 2012.
Do they like each other?
I don't think they mind each other. They haven't worked with each other for a long time. I don't think they even have seen each other for a very long time. So we see. The only problem I have about this is that Laurent Blanc is not a really good coach. So not sure why you would choose him anyway. The London Evening Standard reports that Arsenal have banned some 20,000 club members and 54 season ticket holders, Gab.
So the story apparently has to do with the fact that they've been found to have scalped their tickets. So in other words, there's obviously high demand. Arsenal effectively sell out every game, but sometimes what happens is people or season ticket holders will sell their tickets. Now, some clubs are fine with this. I think Arsenal are okay with it if you do it via a certain ticket exchanges to the club. What they don't want is, and this is what happens, I don't want to say ticket prices to watch the Premier League are not expensive, because to a lot of people they are. Certainly relative to US sporting events, they're not. And so even if you're paying, say, £1,000 for an Arsenal season ticket, if it's Arsenal Manchester United, hey, I can make that money back. I'd sell it to a couple Norwegians or who come into town.
For sure.
I always use Norwegians because they're kind of like the Qatar of Europe. So the club don't want that. They don't want people profiting off that. It does seem like 20,000 club members does seem like
a lot.
The other thing that was interesting, they've canceled 24 season ticket holders. I knew United were doing this. I didn't know Arsenal were doing this too, but apparently you have to show up. If you own a season ticket, you have to show up to a certain percentage of the team's games. Apparently last year it was 17 of the 22 home games that Arsenal played, I guess including cup competitions. I'm not super comfortable with that. I kind of feel that, because apparently they don't want to have empty seats. Personally, I feel that if you sell me a season ticket, if I pay you money,
you can do whatever you want with it.
I can do whatever I want. I can put a stuffed animal there if I want.
Then I guess you've got a very long waiting list of people that maybe would go to every single game, and we do.
Not really my problem. If
true.
If you sell me a ticket, you sell me a ticket. But I mean, this is the policy. This is their club. They can put whatever restrictions they want on it. Craig Bellamy is a new Wales manager.
Go on, Craig.
Jules, you're practically Welsh.
I am.
Is this a good choice?
I really hope so. Well, we don't know, because all he's been is an assistant to Vincent Kompany, both in Anderlecht and then at Burnley. From the people I know who know him well, some who did their coaching badges with him, by the way, he's really good at what he does. We know the character and the temperament and the feistiness in a way. I'm sure he would have mellowed a bit now that he's a coach, and now he's a different approach than when he was a player. So I'm waiting to see. There's a good young generation there. The golden generation, if we can call it like everybody calls it like that, of Ramsey and Bale, etc., is fading off, fading away. Thank you. But the new generation is quite exciting. So good luck to him. Yeah, I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, it's funny with Craig Bellamy because, with all the tattoos and everything when he was young, he did some things which he probably regrets.
Yeah.
And he had this reputation. I'll never forget. It was after the Champions League final in Athens.
Oh yeah, 07?
And, in 07, yeah. And we went by the Liverpool team hotel afterwards to say hi to some people and stuff. And it was super late. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And as we were arriving, Bellamy's leaving with these 4 dudes who I guess are his friends from back home in Cardiff or wherever he's from.
Cardiff is, yeah. Cardiff
and he's like, we're going to go out to have a few drinks and whatever. Like, dude, you just lost a Champions League final, right? Like, it just seems so incongruous. But then I know people who know him really well, maybe some of the same people you do, people who've worked with him.
Yeah.
And he is somebody who is genuinely curious about the world. He's somebody who's got a really sharp intellect. And
he's a smart guy.
you look past the stereotypes, look past the fact that he's small, and he can be. No, you joke about this. Not many.
Would you look past? He's small, and so be it.
Okay, the vast majority of successful managers.
Oh my God. Right. Next one. Okay. A ton of reports out there link Karim Adeyemi to Chelsea, but he reportedly only wants Champions League football. So this is not going to happen, right?
No, I put this in here because this is so stupid. Look, I'm not going to put anything beyond the Bowl League Bali sphere.
Yeah.
However, if there is one role that Chelsea do not need, it is yet another freaking winger, right? When you've got Madueke and you have Mudryk and you have Palmer and you have Raheem Sterling and you have whatever. On top of that, they do not need this winger because this winger is not good. Karim Adeyemi may be really fast. He may have really big hair.
He's super fast.
He went like 9 months without scoring.
Yeah,
he had a couple of good games in the Champions League run, but that's it. On top of that, the dude says, I want Champions League football. Chelsea don't have Champions League football.
No, that's true.
How does this story get at? I would love to know the genesis of some of these stories.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
And look,
I think we both know. It's just made up, right?
Okay.
Somebody
made it up. I don't know. Donny van de Beek has finally left the building, Jules. He's off to Girona, and his farewell message to United fans was really sweet.
It was sweet because he didn't really have to do it, considering he was never really a Manchester United player, right? We agree on that? All I ever saw him was warming up at Old Trafford by the touchline. He's a great warm-up guy. He warms up so well. He knows all the moves to get warm up. He was great at it. You could tell that he had a lot of experience in warming up. Is there a worse transfer in the last, 20 years in the Champions for a big club and a big player? He was a big player. He was a Champions League finalist, starter for Ajax, starter for the Dutch national
Frank
team.
LeBeuf would say Mikhailo Mudryk, but that's another issue. Anthony. There's a couple.
Anthony at least played, and Mudryk played. The guy never played.
So obviously,
I want him to do well at Girona.
He suffered a couple really bad injuries.
Yeah.
But he's also had periods of fitness when he's been back, and his form really, really dropped. And I don't think
massively.
it's because the injuries made him gimpy or whatever. It's very sad. It
is super sad.
I'll go back. I'll hold my head up and say, sometimes we go back things we said in the past where we were wrong. Yeah. But that tremendous Ajax side. And by the way, can we show some love for the guy who managed that tremendous Ajax side?
Yeah, who is it? What has he been doing now?
It's the other Dutch guy. That's Erik ten Hag. I always thought in that midfield, man, Van de Beek has the bigger future relative to De Jong.
I thought it was a good signing for United.
I thought Van de Beek was better. It was going to be better than De Jong. And obviously got that one wrong. I hope he can do something.
Yeah, Girona could be a good place for him. Bild report that Thomas Müller will soon announce his retirement from international football. What do you think?
131 appearances, 45 goals. Everybody will celebrate him, I think, when he retires. I mean,
one World Cup.
It's not much of a stretch. He's not going to be here in 2026. It's clearly his contract with Bayern will be over by then. Put it this way: if Germany have to call him back for 2026, then there's serious problems, right?
That's true.
I just want to spend a word on Muller because I can think of few players. Look, I'm not going to say his ability was limited, but relative to what he achieved,
For sure.
his abilities undoubtedly
Technically,
limited.
certainly, yeah.
His technical ability, and it's not just the fact, oh, he looks. People have said, no, he just looks clumsy because he's tall. I'm like, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is tall too. He does not look clumsy. Joshua Zirkzee is tall too. He does not look clumsy.
Not at all.
No. He looks weird and uncoordinated when he moves.
Yeah.
But you look at his scoring record, and I think the thing with him is two things which set him apart. One is his athleticism. I can think of very, very few players who've had that athleticism.
Yeah.
And the other one is obviously his intelligence.
Yeah, for sure.
Which has a multiplier effect on his athleticism. Honestly, he's the kind of person, like, they should take his brain afterwards once he's left us and study it, because he's been a phenomenal footballer, and I think also a phenomenal leader.
Yeah, for sure.
For Bayern, and and respect to a guy who says, look, my time is up. The time now belongs to Füllkrug. No, just kidding. The time now belongs to other people.
Yeah.
Maybe not Füllkrug. Marc Cucurella was booed every single time he touched the ball in that Spain-France semifinal. But it wasn't French, or obviously Spanish fans booing him, Jules. It was Chelsea fans. No, just kidding. It was Germany fans who were there. This was weird.
So loud as well.
It was so. I
felt for him.
I mean, to explain this, obviously, it's a semi-final.
Right? Yeah.
There's the tournament is in Germany. I'm sure there was a lot of German fans who bought tickets thinking Germany were going to be there.
They would have been had they beaten Spain, obviously, in the quarterfinals.
And they don't like Cucurella because of the penalty.
Yeah.
But dude, it's not Cucurella's fault.
I know. And then the Spanish fan was trying to go like Cucurella, and you could not hear anything because the boos was so big. And you're right, there was a lot of German fans. You could see everybody in white anyway was German because they had the German shirt on. So you see white,
I'm
more white than
France
blue or
fans
red.
didn't seize the opportunity to join in on the booing.
We're fair play. We're good people. Gab, quite a story out of Brazil. Who is Rogério Barbosa da Silva Gomes? And why are we talking about him?
So Paris Saint-Germain have just signed him for 120. No, just kidding. Rogério, or as he's better known as R6.
R6. Okay, that's
R6. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's the head of a gang called Bonde do Maluco in Salvador in the north of Brazil. And he made the very bad decision of attending a game between Bahia against Palmeiras. Apparently they have facial recognition software. And so they saw him. They picked him out of the crowd. I was shocked. I thought this is the kind of stuff that happens in China, like with the Uyghurs. But hey, maybe not. But more power to them. Yeah,
no
apparently.
Way.
Just I don't know.
Don't go to a football match if you're a gangster.
Yeah, or get some surgery or something to conceal your identity. Jules, this brings us to an end, but this is our last show, we said, from Scaling Spaces.
Yeah.
But we're going to come back on Monday
for the last
after the final of the Copa America and the final of the Euros and the last show of the 2023-24 Gab and Juls season. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.